crazy story, really, considering what he did at PSG or didn't do last year. However, Shaq, if you're Szczęsny, how are you feeling?
I'm not that bothered. I think this is just, again, a coming back home of a player who's earned legendary status at Juventus. I don't think Gigi Buffon is going to play regularly. He's going to come in for the odd game, give Szczęsny, if he remains as number one, much needed rest or whatever it may be. But I don't see Gigi Buffon right now being or still being a better option than Szczęsny.
Sticking with Juventus, Jules, reports are suggesting that they are somewhat lowballing Ajax when it comes to trying to get De Ligt to Turin. This seems like a mistake, isn't it? If Juve just get it done, you've already beaten PSG and Barcelona and others the signature. Why faff about?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe because at some point the money might, run out after some of the deals they've done and the ones they are hoping to make, like Mauro Icardi, for example, maybe like Paul Pogba as well. And maybe they're thinking, do you know what? We can try to lower that deal because De Ligt is clearly, willing to come to us more than in Paris or more than in Barcelona, for example, or wherever else. So we've got that in the bag, his agreement, and that contract is pretty much sorted. Now, if we can try to play hardballs with Ajax and get the price a bit lower, for example, 55 million instead of 75 million, those 20 million there could be quite important and crucial if we want to then get Icardi, or if we want to get Pogba, or if we want to get someone else, another right back if Cancelo goes to Manchester City, for example. So that's why maybe Fabio Paratici is trying his best to bluff a bit Ajax and see where he goes. However, I don't think this one is going to work. I mean, Ajax, of all clubs, they're the biggest feeder club in the world. They know how to sell their players, and they're not going to get fibbed by Juventus or Paratici or whoever.
Is there any chance, Jules, that Juve could really shoot themselves in the foot here and end up not getting him?
I think there's a chance where Ajax will lose a bit of patience and say, hang on a minute, PSG agreed and Manchester United agreed. And so, in that case, we stop talking to you, and then De Ligt can choose between the clubs that we actually have an agreement in place, because it's not really in Ajax interest to waste a bit more time about De Ligt. They want the money in, they want to, for him to go. He was great for them, but now he decided to go. So, they want that deal to happen. They don't want to have to play and go back and forth in negotiation with Juventus or whoever else. So they might well say, you know what, we already have an agreement in place with some clubs. We're going to only focus on their clubs, and De Ligt will have to choose between those clubs because, you're wasting our time.
You mentioned Icardi, Jules, before. Is he going?
I think when Fabio Paratici, who is the Juventus sporting director, go and meet you somewhere, as we saw, for example, with Adrien Rabiot, the latest example, because it means business. Same with Buffon. So he rarely goes and see you without in his mind the belief that this deal is going to happen. And I think that Icardi wants out of Inter Milan. Inter Milan wants him out. They want Lukaku to replace him. They need money to get Lukaku. I think it makes a lot of sense for that all those moves to happen. Lukaku to Inter, Icardi to Juventus, and then who knows? Maybe Higuain then could go to Manchester United.
Imagine that. That'll go well. Paul Pogba, speaking of Manchester United, Jules. Juventus still a possibility. Real Madrid, I feel like we haven't discussed him over the last few days.
Yeah, and we haven't discussed it because he's been really quiet. He's been enjoying his holidays and his family, and he will report to Manchester United next week when the players are coming back. He will meet Solskjaer when he's back in England as well. I think his idea is still that he wants to go, but right now there hasn't been any offers or anyone really coming for him. So there's still quite a long time to go, let's be fair, in the Pogba saga for him to leave the club. But right now, he's a Manchester United player, and he will report to start pre-season next week, as all the other Manchester United players.
Speaking of United, lots of tweets coming in over the last few days about their transfer policy. And boys, this one question is, why don't United and City just pay 25 million for Alderweireld instead of 90 million for Maguire?
Well, Alderweireld's 30. And actually, for me, the last 18 months, he hasn't been particularly great. Harry Maguire, Manchester United know exactly what they're going to get. Plus the fact he's 4 years younger. So, from that point of view, it makes sense. I still think he's overpriced, but at the end of the day, you've got to pay the going rate, and that's what it is.
Do you agree, Jules?
I like Alderweireld, and I like his experience, and I like the fact that, for example, he played the Champions League final with Harry Maguire, never did, and I think United need players who will be there, will deliver, will have that experience, will have that kind of leadership, and I think Maguire. I agree with Stevie. Maguire is 4 years younger, but he's also more than twice the price, and I'm just not sure the gap between the price for Alderweireld and Maguire is actually worth the extra investment to get Maguire.
What would you do, Shaq?
Given the choice between those two at those prices, I go for Alderweireld.
Really?
All day long. Especially for United, whose need, I think, is immediate. Manchester United are trailing everybody and trying to get back into the top four. Age is not that big a barrier or decider in choosing players. Right now, I think Alderweireld is the most sensible option.
Then you've got the rest of the money to spend on Gonzalo Higuain. Perfect.
For more, sign up now for ESPN Plus.